Now, here's a quick one about a little deer who's 27 years old, been with her boyfriend for 7 years, swears she has the greatest relationship ever, best boyfriend, and yet she wants to have an open relationship. Title: I, a 27-year-old female, don't want to lose my boyfriend by asking for an open relationship. Well, dummy, then don't ask him for an open relationship. She says, my boyfriend and I have been together for 7 years and have lived together for almost all of it. We have a great relationship, are full partners in every sense of the word, and have good communication and conflict resolution. And yet, you want to screw the whole thing up by getting some extra sausage. That's your thanks to him for being a good, loyal, loving boyfriend? Basically, the only issue we have is that I'm not entirely exactly satisfied by our sex life. It's not that there's something he does or doesn't do. I think that we're so comfortable and familiar with each other that I don't find excitement in it anymore. I don't know how to express this to him without hurting him or making him feel like there's anything wrong with him. Well, it is true. You're with somebody for a very long time. You get to know them. Things can become predictable, etc., etc. And you can choose either you want to have someone that's loving and loyal and good to you, and vice versa, and have things being predictable, or but work on it to spice things up, or you do something stupid and screw the whole thing up. But what do people usually do? What usually takes over? The lust. I had only been S-word active for a few months when we first got together, whereas he's been active for quite a few years and had multiple partners and relationships, obviously before her. He is the only boyfriend I've had. I didn't feel like I was done exploring, but it was clear he wanted exclusivity, and I wanted to be with him. Well, if you aren't ready, then you should not pull the open relationship crap where you get to have him, the cake and eat situation, when you go hook up with Chad and Tyrone and expect him to stay around and wait for you. In that case, you break up with him, but you're risking losing a great guy because you want to get some freaking sausage. But don't just pull his open relationship crap. And this is on the basis that she isn't already hooking up with somebody else or has somebody lined up, because the odds are she does. And if that's the case, she's already cheating. That's how these things usually go. He has described himself as a jealous person in the past, but I've never witnessed it. I've always enjoyed harmless and cheeky flirting with others, and he seems to see this as part of who I am and accepts it. Over the years, there have been times when I wish for the freedom to take it further than flirting, but I've never told anybody this. I would never act on anything behind his back or betray him. Well, there isn't a guy in a relationship walking the earth right now, married or in a relationship, that has a girl they like or have a good thing going, that they don't see girls at the gym or on the street or at the beach or at the pool, and they want to nail and walk away and never have to hear from her again. But it doesn't mean we're going to do it. If you care about somebody, you don't do that bullshit. You see the better things in the relationship, because believe me, most relationships suck. My hope is that opening our relationship would add spice and excitement that would benefit our relationship. You mean benefit you, not him. It ain't about him. You said flat out he's a jealous type, so do you think he's going to like this very much? I even find the idea of him being with other women thrilling as well. Although I don't think he ever would, even if he agreed to an open relationship. Well, then there you go. Again, you said right there. You don't think he'd want to do this, even if he could. So this situation puts everything, but is the great deal for you, for her. And if you don't think it wouldn't bother you that he's with other women, you obviously don't really love him. No woman that's truly in love with their guy would ever want any other woman touching him, ever. He's just not someone who's interested in being with anything other than one person. I'm sure anyone reading this who's been cheated on wants to shake me through the screen for having the most loyal partner in the world and not being satisfied. Yeah, a lot. But this goes into the joke of you can't ever make women happy. My boyfriend is really the best partner I could ask for, and that's why I'm so conflicted. And yet you're willing to screw the whole thing up and break his heart to get some sausage. It'll get old, and then that'll be it. I absolutely do not want to risk losing him, and I'm worried that even telling him what I'm wanting could do irreparable damage to our relationship. Well, if you brought it up to him, if he came to me, I'd tell him to dump your ass. That's what I'd tell him, because you're either hooking up with somebody else, or you have somebody lined up ready to go. You're already mentally cheating, and you couldn't love him if you're bringing this up. The thing is, if I knew for certain that he would say no, I would just push my feelings down and try to live with the status quo for the rest of my life. He's going to say no, so push it down. It's the fact that I know he loves me enough to possibly agree to it for my sake alone makes it difficult for me. Well, if he would do that, then that's just stupid. It'll come back to bite him in the ass, as it does every single time. The last thing on earth I want to do is hurt him. And yet, you're thinking about this. I would love some outside perspective on the matter, since I don't feel like this is something I can talk freely about with anyone in my life. I know it's a pretty taboo subject, so I appreciate open-mindedness and compassion. Well, I'm not going to give you open-mindedness and compassion. I'm going to give you tough love. You're full of shit. You're thinking all about you. You don't care about him. If you don't care about him with other women, you obviously don't care about him. The fact you want to hook up with other dudes, even though this guy's great to you. Here's the deal. It's far better to just break up with him and move on, and then you can be free to do whatever you want and let him move on, as opposed to try to mess with his head and get him to stay with you, and you go out and hook up with other dudes. That's unbelievably selfish. And if you really love this guy, you would never do that to him. But clearly you don't, okay? You've been with him so long, and you're bored and all that, and probably you have friends that do this. You probably read about it in some online form or magazine. So no. You either figure out what you really want to do, but once it's done, it's done. End of story. And frankly, if he found out about this and broke up with you, I would encourage it. I wouldn't blame him at all. But the thing is, there are people every day that walk the streets and see people they're attracted to. Doesn't mean they're going to go act on and hook up with them, because they actually love and respect who they're with. Guy with a gal with... You get the point. So get your shit together. And either you're going to be loyal and loving to him, or break it up with him and let him move on. But don't do this selfish cake and eat two situation. But guys, I'm doing this one to show you the bullshit that goes on in some of these gals' heads, and which usually leads to the next thing of saying this whole thing, and the guy's damaged and all that. But anyway, I'd kick her to the curb if I was this guy and found out.